Hi everyone. I am so excited to see you. It's been a long time, and I am so sorry for that. Um, it is near the end of the semester, and I'm actually finishing one class, starting another. No, actually, I'm not starting any classes, but I'm finishing two classes, and then trying to navigate. Actually, I'm finishing two classes this week, one class next week, three classes the following week, and then I have another 3 weeks before, I think 2 weeks maybe. No, another 2 weeks maybe before the end of the semester ends in the second week of June. So a lot of things are happening. Well, and then I think that would be the final four courses that ends in the second week of June, and then I get a bit of a break before the summer semester starts. So then I have writing deadlines that I need to work on, and my hair is kind of like all over the place. Uh, but I came here to give you a break from the Porsha scandal. First of all, but I will say a little bit. First of all, Portia is, I'm sorry that people are trying to bend over backwards by saying they're not really friends. They were friends because of the show and the storyline, etc. But with all that being said, I when your coworkers are only like four or five other people, maybe six, and you know that she's going through a divorce, you know her business, and why would you date this person's husband, because they're still not officially divorced. Now, they could have gotten a divorce while they could have been declared single as they divvy up their finances. However, like Dr. Dre. However, it appears that that's not the case, especially when the wife Fallon said, as we are finalizing, ing, not ed, the divorce. I think it's shady. It's highly inappropriate. And are you that desperate? Like, there's nothing about you that says desperado, I don't think. But the fact that you are willing, like, it's like you have a job, and clearly you don't want to spend your money, and that's perfectly fine. You don't have to spend your money. That's clear that you are trying to go a route where I don't want, I have money, but I don't want to spend it. I take it. But I still think that it's gross, it's disgusting, it's unbecoming. And yeah, you're going to get a few shows. And yes, the storyline for the fall is going to be super awesome. And I hear all that, I embrace all that. It still doesn't make you a better person. It still makes you a trash person. It still makes you desperate. And I'm not sure how interested I am in listening to you talk about fighting the power and getting arrested in Black Lives Matter. I think you need to save that for somebody else. Who cares? But all that being said, years ago, there was a film that came out, The Hate You Give. And I saw the ad and I decided I was going to read the book. And every summer, I do, ever since my daughter turned 6, so she's now 9. She'll be 9 this year. Actually, ever since my daughter turned 5 and she went into kindergarten, I have been doing the book club with the library, and I've been doing the book club with Barnes and Noble. And we, uh, and for Barnes and Noble, I will say that they do a phenomenal job where you read like 10 books or 8 books or something, and you get a free book. And they have been doing a phenomenal job phenomenal. And every year we try out all the books on the book list that they give for free. And they've introduced a new book to us that that my kids love. And so the first time was Desmond Cole, and we have officially read all of Desmond Cole's books. The dude from the illustrator of the Desmond Cole books literally follows me on Instagram, and uh, then one year, Good Guys, or is it Good Guys, Bad Guys, which is all the bad guys from all of the from like the Big Bad Wolf and all that other stuff, and they have like a crew and they do good things, and my daughter loves them. And another year was Drew Pendis and the writing and the pen and the erasable pencil or something. They fell in love with that. And so it's a continuum of them falling in love with with these books. Well, and so I've gotten into reading children's books, not per se, but I mean young adult books mostly. And there's a young adult author named Jewel Rhodes, and she wrote this book called Ghost Boys. And when I read it, I just had to sit for a while because it was so hard to process. I had to sit and process this in real time. It took a while for me to think about it because because it's based on it reminds you of Tamir Rice, and it is and it deals with all of these boys who've been killed by the police or in the vein of self-policing like Emmett Till. And so all of these young boys are walking throughout the world, and then they kind of convene in this Ghost Boys, and then they're trying to have these different connections and with different people. And how do you reckon with the police officer who killed this little boy and his daughter who's looking at him? It's a white guy, white officer. His daughter who is able to see the ghost of the boy that he killed. And through this process, she's looking at her father like, this is my father. I love my dad. He cannot be a racist. And then having to reconcile, what are these children dealing with? Because all of these adults are saying stuff. What about the kids? Right. And I think that's missing in all of these dialogues. And so I read The Hate U Give that same time period, and I was hooked because the Black Lives Matter movement was started by a woman. And even though we focus a lot on the men, because more men have been killed by police than women, but what we forget is that women are experiencing the trauma of these men being killed. Like, they're the mothers, they're the fathers. I mean, they're the mothers, they're the sisters, they're the girlfriends, the fiancés, the wives, the aunts, the uncle, I mean, the nieces, the sisters, and the amount of trauma that these women are taking on by being in relationship, giving birth to these young men. And so it's a fascinating look at The Hate U Give. So I went to see the film, I didn't particularly care for the film as much as I cared for the book, because the book focuses more on the woman. Uh, in The Hate You Give, the movie, it focuses more on the family, and it instantly becomes more male centered than the book is. The book is not male centered. There was some really heart gripping points. And when we left the theater, my daughter said, "Why do they hate us?" And I was like, I'm not ready for that conversation. Because it was, it was, she was 7, and that is not what I wanted her to really begin to start trying to process at such a young age. So I bring all that to say, Angie Thomas, Concrete Rose. And Concrete Rose is a prequel to The Hate You Give. It's a prequel, and it's the father of the main characters within The Hate You Give. I First of all, Angie Thomas writes in a way that things come alive. And so I mean, even though the book looks pretty thick, first of all, the print's not that, it's not that deep. It is such a good book. Like, I mean, it is, and even if you don't like prequels, because you kind of know where this was going, I thought it was so good. And I mean, how she begins to kind of deal with fatherhood, and how fatherhood does change young men. It may not change young men in the same way it changes young women, but and then we do have this conversation that not all women. This is the thing. Not all women, period, are eager to have babies, and not all of them are motherly, and that is this balance of should they be motherly or should they not be motherly? And the question really becomes, yeah, they need to have a good parent, and hopefully mother or father is able to do so. And before she wrote Concrete Rose, and I think that she's coming out with a new book. And honestly, I think that there's something well, this came out this year, but I think she's coming out with another book. She has a story to tell. And she has a story to tell that she can keep this going if she wants to. And I think that um, she can keep this going if she wants to. You know where she gets her most her most she can keep this story of The Hate You Give going if she wants to. I think that and I think this would be a great story to continue, honestly, because it's compelling. I want to know more. I am interested in seeing this these issues. I don't want to go back into the past anymore. I would like to go move forward in the future from The Hate You Give and see what happens when she goes to college. I'm very interested in seeing this story, seeing how this plays out. You will know her from someone called Word Up Magazine. And I say that with all lovingly because she used to be a rapper, but then she also used to be a writer. Her second book, she used to be a writer for magazines, for hip hop magazines. Her second book was on the come up. And I think this is a little loosely based off of her, because she used to be a teen rapper. And this was her second book. It's the thing that I love about it the most is how she gives a very good depiction on what does it mean to be a Black woman in education. And it's not easy. And it's the continual typecast. You're disrespectful, you are, and all of these other things, especially what happens when you're being bussed into a predominantly white system. They don't want to hear you, they don't want to see you, they want you to toe the line because you're lucky to be here. And not that I'm educating you, you're just lucky to be here, you're lucky to be in the room. That's not the way that we should have any child feel, that they're lucky to be in the room, that means that they're not valuable, they're not appreciated. If you have any time, spend some time with Angie Thomas. I think that you will love her. She is a nice alternative to Sister Soldier. Great alternative. Enjoy her. She has 3 books, nonfiction books. They're in the young adult section. And I think that you would enjoy a lot of those moments. So have a great afternoon.